Yeah, we begin with news that just came in. An investigation has revealed that the noose found hanging in the garage of NASCAR's only full-time black driver on Sunday, that noose had been there since last year. That is our breaking news here on SportsCenter. The investigation, which was handled by the FBI as well as state and local authorities, has revealed that the noose had been there again since last October at least, and that no federal crime was committed. Here's the joint statement from the FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office. Quote, on Monday, 15 FBI special agents conducted numerous interviews regarding the situation at Talladega Superspeedway. After a thorough review of the facts and evidence surrounding the event, we have concluded that no federal crime was committed. The FBI learned that the garage number 4, where the noose was found, was assigned to Bubba Wallace last week. The investigation also revealed evidence, including authentic video confirmed by NASCAR, that the noose found in garage number 4 was in that garage as early as October of 2019. Although the noose is now known to have been in garage number 4 in 2019, nobody could have known Mr. Wallace would be assigned to garage number 4 last week. The decision not to pursue federal charges is proper after reviewing all available facts and all applicable federal laws. We offer our thanks to NASCAR, Mr. Wallace, and everyone who cooperated with this investigation, end quote. For more, we bring in Michael Wilbon from PTI, who joins us now live from out in Arizona. And Michael, here's the thing. First of all, thanks for coming on with this breaking news. This is really good news, right? Good news that the noose found hanging in his garage was not directed towards him, the only full-time black driver on the circuit, Bubba Wallace. What's the first thing you thought then when you heard, okay, it wasn't directed towards him, it'd been there for a while, but there was still a noose hanging in a garage?
I'm glad there's no hate crime.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how anybody decides that that is anything but good news. If the FBI is certain of this through its investigation, and if there's no hate crime, that's good. The reaction of the drivers in support of Bubba Wallace is still the reaction of the drivers. I mean, they're saying any hint of this kind of behavior going forward, we're not going to tolerate, and we're going to stand with Bubba. And also, Sage, you know, this is a piece of good news for NASCAR, for anybody who cares about Bubba Wallace, for anybody just who doesn't want to see a hate crime. But there's also some news. We get Mike Skinner, a former NASCAR driver. His son, Dustin, had something on social media, which has since been taken down, but it was up earlier. And it says, I know this is not what you want to hear, and I'm quoting now, but my hat is off to who put the noose at his car. Frankly, I wish they would have tied it to him and drug him around the pits, because he has single-handedly destroyed what I grew up watching and cared about for 30 years now. I will not watch this sport anymore, and that's sad. And that's, again, the son of a driver who has been himself involved in the industry. And the father released a couple of different statements saying, distancing himself from this and saying, my wife and I want no part of this particular post and this sentiment, and good for him. But again, we're talking about something larger here than just the noose, which apparently wasn't a noose. We're talking about sentiment around the sport. We're talking about whether it's inclusive enough, whether it is welcoming enough. And this is why, you know, NASCAR initially said in support of Bubba Wallace, we're done with the Confederate flag. We know it's going to be a battle, but we're done with it. And this is our stance, period. And the pushback is we've seen it, Sage. It doesn't. The news may be symbolic in this case and not real, but the pushback is real.
Absolutely. And I think we all have to keep in mind, yes, it's time for change. Change does, however, at times take some time. We saw the plane being flown over the racetrack the other day with the Confederate flag. There are still some ingrained things that are going to take some time, if ever, to fully go away. Most importantly, what NASCAR has done, swiftly come out with statements saying this is unacceptable. And maybe more importantly, Michael Wilbon, to your point, what those drivers did yesterday, the 39 drivers, to support Bubba Wallace, pushing his car up to the front, and the emotions that he had, I feel like there are many steps going in the right direction for a sport that has been struggling for a long time in this area.
Yeah, I mean, this has taken some courage on the part of NASCAR officials, starting with the president. There's nothing to do but applaud him,
right,
and the drivers. Because, I mean, the issue is real. I mean, now people with a certain agenda are going to now just sort of focus on the noose and no hate crime, as if the atmosphere that has been objected to hasn't existed around NASCAR for forever. And it still exists, Sage, as you point out, the plane flying overhead, with the Confederate flag and what's going on outside of the racetracks and what's going to be presumably going on outside for a while. So these things are the drivers know. Listen, and I know that drivers and I'll start with the top drivers. I mean, people like Jimmy Johnson and Dale Earnhardt Jr., they have long worried about their sport not being able to advance. Sort of people saying, no, we're people outside the sport who might want to get involved, who might want to duck their heads inside the tent saying, no, I'm not coming in. And they've long thought about this and railed against it. So this has not been a problem of NASCAR. It has been a problem of the environment, the fan base, and the culture in which NASCAR exists. And so the drivers yesterday were really saying, we're not having that anymore. And it's the second or third time they have shown that kind of support for Bubba Wallace.
And I want to make sure that that people know the facts here, that Bubba Wallace is not the one that said, hey, look what someone hung in my garage. Someone else found that noose, reported it, and the rest really from there is history. So I don't want there to be any negativity coming towards Bubba, correct?
But Sage, there will be. I mean, we know there will be because the difficult conversations, this is what's included in them. And so people who have a certain agenda, they're going to make Bubba the issue because that's what they want to do.
Right.
When Bubba Wallace didn't see the news, didn't report it, and by the way, it seems to me a protocol was followed in exactly the way you'd have it. You didn't have some rogue agent acting on, his own instinct. He took this to the governing body, to NASCAR. NASCAR went to the FBI, and the FBI investigated. That's exactly as you'd want this to play out. And so kudos to everybody involved in that way.